What's significant about this picture? Well, it's a couple of men doing a podcast. Apparently it's called the Wholesome Podcast, from a couple months ago. Not all that popular, but it's being hosted or co-hosted somewhat on Brandon Mitchell's channel. Who's Brandon Mitchell? Well, he was juror number 52 for the Chauvin Trial. As you can see, this picture has made the rounds, not this one specifically, of him wearing a shirt. What does it say? Get your knees off our neck, something equivalent to that. A non-direct quote from Martin Luther King Jr., but it also has BLM there as well. And it's also come out that this man right here, who has been an advocate of Black Lives Matter and such things, as of course is his right, also attended a couple of other peaceful protests. And as far as we know, they were in fact peaceful in nature. But you know what he's not allowed to do? Lie about his involvement. And especially being a juror, in such a high-profile case, it leads people to doubt the outcome of said high-profile decision, of course. And I'm not alone on this one. And, in fact, the preeminent lawyer in the land, somebody who has been very critical of the actions of Chauvin, justifiably so. He knows the background, and he came to his decision based on the actions of the video that was presented to him, and Alan Dershowitz says, yeah, without a doubt, and he thinks that Chauvin's guilty verdict should be tossed out. This was not a juror. This was an advocate. Dershowitz told Fox News in response to reports that one of the jurors may have lied about his participation in a Black Lives Matter protest. Exactly. You have the jury questionnaire. You come up there. You get a question about your involvement, about certain specific things. You lie about it outright in order to get on the jury. And then immediately after everything is all said and done, you come out and you make your statement. You give your interviews. You say that everything was all done and dusted and that the decision would have came out a whole lot quicker because everybody already had their minds made up, and that the 3 weeks that everybody was out there was an unnecessary show. Attorney and law professor Alan Dershowitz thinks the guilty verdict against Derek Chauvin should be tossed out and wants the United States Supreme Court to intervene. It should be, without a doubt. That was not a juror, that was an advocate, Dershowitz said. Told Fox News in response to reports that Brandon Mitchell, one of 12 jurors in the case, may have lied about his participation in the Black Lives Matter protest. Mitchell has also faced criticism for describing jury duty as an opportunity to spark some change. Sounds like somebody who can be totally and 100% impartial. If it had not been an anonymous jury, probably people would have disclosed the fact that the juror who had a point of view before he heard a single bit of evidence. Dershowitz continued. Why do you think this juror came out now and publicized himself? Exactly. Because he voted to convict. If he had dared to vote to acquit, he would have never disclosed himself because he knows he'd be attacked. That is not the way the jury system should operate in America. Yeah, very based points. The court abused the discretion when it failed to sequester the jury for the duration of the trial, or at least admonish them to avoid all media, which resulted in jury exposure to prejudicial publicity regarding the trial during the proceedings, as well as jury intimidation and potential fear of retribution among jurors, which violated Mr. Chauvin's constitutional right to due process and to a fair trial, said defense counsel Eric Nelson in his filing for mistrial, which just got submitted. Dershowitz thinks the Supreme Court should lay down an unqualified rule to avoid similar issues in future police trials. They're going to have to go through it again when we have the trial of 3 other co-defendants. Yeah, the other officers that were there that day that were charged. We have the trial nearby of Kim Potter, the one who shot, Dante Wright? Taser. That lady. We're going to see many of these trials and threats to jurors. Yeah, of course, everybody's going to be on a knife's edge because they know if they go ahead and levy the quote-unquote wrong decision out there, they're going to spark endless nights of riots. And you know how you stop that stuff? You know how justice can actually be served? Because, okay, Kim Potter charged with second-degree manslaughter. I showed you guys the taser that they have there, why she would be confused as to doing as much, confusing her sidearm for her taser. Do I think that she's stupid? Yes. Do I think that she intentionally killed him? No. Do I think that this should have been settled and this shouldn't have been an issue if the guy just would have complied? Yes. But do I think we're going to find ourselves with a jury pool who is not too dissimilar to that of the trial of Derek Chauvin? No, it's going to be exactly the same. But let's wrap this one up. We're going to see many of these threats at the trials with the threats to jurors. That's why we have to have sequester jurors in all these cases, said Dershowitz, who previously took issue with the decision to keep the trial in Minneapolis. It should have been moved, and it's clear and obvious as to why. That's why the Supreme Court should take this case and lay down the unqualified rule. Sequester jurors so that Maxine Waters doesn't get into the jury room, even though she's not selected as a juror. She was in that jury room telling those jurors that if they vote to acquit or less than a murder, there's going to be hell to pay. Yeah, exactly. That pool was already tainted, okay? It was going to be loaded with activists. What was that, juror number 9 or number 19? Was the 20-something-year-old bitch who was super excited to be on the panel. I at least got to give her props at this point because there was somebody else, Brandon, who was of the exact same mind, but at least she had the forethought of coming straight out and saying it. This case right now sets this precedent as, hey, if you want to acquit whoever the newest police officer is going to be on trial, if you want to go ahead and convict them of whatever wrongdoing you think that they've done, all you need to do is just lie and you can get yourself on the trial and then you can cash out, and I'd imagine that'll give you that much needed dopamine hit. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this case because, like I said, Eric Nelson, the defense lawyer, he's seen enough of this crap with the testimony of the alternate juror and then the guy who was on the trial. There was malpractice happening within that jury box. Obvious to everybody who can see it, and now it's something that is verifiable and provable. So we're going to see if this is going to get appealed at a lesser court or if it's going to have to go all the way up to the United States Supreme Court, because if anybody that is ruling on this lives in the Minneapolis area, yeah, there's going to be, once again, hell to pay for them. But if it goes up to the United States Supreme Court, at least they have security detail all the time, and they're not in Minneapolis, so maybe they'll be more likely to rule a little bit more fairly on them. But that is the Supreme Court after all. And there's only one Clarence Thomas, so tough to say, really. But we'll see where this goes. If this story continues to evolve at a pace which it is right now, which is shocking. And then also, Chauvin's sentencing is going to be coming up, and then there's the prosecutors lobbying for the aggravated sentencing, which they just want him to fry at this point. So when there's more developments on this, we'll revisit it. Hopefully we don't have to. Hopefully justice can occur. But jokes on anybody who believes that that's going to happen with this one all the way through till the end. With that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.